Show me a great tennis player, I will show you a great mover. Level up your movement with these top tips. Tennis is a game about control. To generate control, you need to give yourself time. To give yourself time, you need to move well, to get into position early, to execute your shots. This is the crux of the sport, which is why movement is so important. I'm going to give you a few really key ideas in this video about how we can use movement and when we do our movement to make sure we're getting the maximal out of our game. It's all well and good having brilliant ground strokes, brilliant shots, but if you don't get in position early enough, if you don't get there loaded in the right way, you can't execute those shots efficiently and consistently, which is why your performance can drop. There are some real quick fixes in here, little cues we can make that don't make you faster, they might make you earlier. They don't make you stronger, they just make you more stable. And if we can get those right, we can really level up our game without huge changes. This video isn't about doing loads of footwork drills and getting in the gym. It's about using your brain and using what you can see to do things in a better order and do things earlier in order to get that improvement. So if we do this, you're going to get more time on the court, it's going to be easier to make better decisions and easier to execute your best shots, which is what we're trying to do. So let's get into it with my first tip to level up your movement. The rhythm of tennis is move, stop, play. You move to the ball, you stop, and then you play your shot. And this is when we teach beginners the very core of tennis. However, I'm pitching this a little bit of a higher level. So that S for move, stop, play, or MSP, is not stop. We can't always get stopped. If we can, then yeah, we can really load. But a lot of the time, we have to just get set or be steady or, my personal favorite, be stable. You need your body to be stable when you're playing your shot. And you do this by moving early to the ball. So if you have that going through your mind of move to the ball, get stable and then play, you're going to get yourself into a nice rhythm of movement. What we don't want to have is your movement changing just before the strike. A lot of players are obsessed with trying to get into the perfect place to try and play their shot. That's very unlikely to happen. Especially as you get to higher levels, you're going to play some shots that are on unusual bases. The ball might be a little bit wide, a little bit high, a little bit low, a little bit faster than you were expecting. And that's fine as long as you have a stable base to play your shot from. Ideally, you're going to get stopped because then you can really load from the floor. But having stability is the key to generating good amounts of power and good efficiency in your strokes. You can only do that by moving early and then understanding when the movement's finished. You can't just move all the time and be frantic. You have to move, get set, get stable and play. If you're still moving during that zone, you're going to end up late on the ball, late on your shot, and your shots will suffer. So next time you're playing, have that mantra going through my head, move, stop, play, or move, set, play, depending on your level, and ensure you understand when movement stops and when the shot starts, because that is the first key to understanding how to use movement efficiently to make sure your shots stay good. Many players think after their shot, movement is finished. I get to stand, I get to watch in awe of how my passing shot down the line was so brilliant. Unfortunately, this is not the case. The best movers are always moving. And the recovery section of the movement is really, really important. When you play a shot, the ball is travelling away from you. This is the one moment in tennis where you don't know where the next shot's going. You can start to have a guess, but you don't know for sure where your opponent's going to play. So this is your chance to recover, to get yourself in the most sensible position for what is coming next. And we want to try and get all of our backwards movements done whilst the ball is travelling away from us. When our opponent's shot is coming onto us, we don't want to be scrabbling back. We want to already have done that. So after you've played your shot, recover backwards. Try and get as much of your backwards movement in as possible, so as they play their shot and you get set to go again, you're then looking forwards and looking to move up and around the court, not still going backwards even more. The better you do that recovery, then the easier your next set of movement will be, which will give you more time when you get to the next shot to hit a better shot, etc, etc, etc. How far back you move, that needs to be a bit of an educated guess based on the types of shots your opponent's been playing. Do they have a high, heavy topspin shot? You're going to go back even further. And equally, how good was your input? Have you put a really good shot in that they're going to struggle with? Well, then maybe you won't have to recover back so far. If you've put in a weaker shot and you think, they're going to punish me with some depth here, then you're going to have to recover even more than you normally would. but you want to get your backward steps in as your ball is traveling away from you. If you get that right, you're going to find you buy yourself a lot more time and feel a lot more comfortable when you're on the court. You want your first step in tennis to be big, to be purposeful, and to really get you moving. We want nice big shapes, part of a nice big turn. And the key for me is that your first step is backwards, is away from the bounce. Now this is different to moving backwards like we just did in recovery. This is just about turning out of the court. That first turning step out means you can travel back behind the ball so you can really step forwards into it. We want to be playing tennis going forwards. We want our shots to have weight transfer going forwards. If we've turned back, that allows us to then do that. If our first turn as we turn to get set to play is into the court and then we get it wrong and have to suddenly push back, that is going to cause us issues during the actual shot we play. Remember, movement is about buying yourself time, because time gives you control over your shots and therefore control of the rally. Every little bit we get away from the ball is buying us time to make our movements to then execute the shots better. So think about turning out of the court. As a right-handed player on my forehand, that's going to be my right foot turning backwards. So I'm turning early, I'm getting my right foot back, and that allows me to start to get in the right position to play. Now you might be thinking, Josh, what if I get someone drop shots me? How am I going to run it? But I've turned away from it. Well, as a very wise physicist once said, Isaac Newton in his third law, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And because of this, when we step back, that gives us the potential to go forwards. If you want to run forwards quickly, you need to have stepped back first in order to push off. Think sprinters, they have one foot back behind the other. They've already gone back, ready to go forwards. They don't start with both feet next to each other. It's the same principle. We go back to go forwards quickly. Equally, it's much easier to run forwards. So would you rather have turned out and then have to sprint forwards for a drop shot, or to have turned forwards and then suddenly have to get back really quickly for a high, deep one? Exactly. Now, if you can start to understand the level of pressure you've built on your opponent, that is going to give you the ideas of where their next shot's likely to go. If you play a really good deep shot, then your positioning can move up into the court a little bit. It's likely their shot's going to bounce shorter. Equally, if you hit a bit of a duff shot, they're not really under any pressure, you can start to recover back. You might start to cover some angle a bit more, but thinking that that's likely where they're going to go. Equally, you'll start to get an idea of what your opponent likes to do. Do they like to attack your backhand? Do they like to play with angle? Do they like to put a drop shot in when they can? And once you understand these patterns, you can start to move early and actually move up onto the court and move around before they've even played their shot. If you can have these sorts of predictions, you don't need better movement because you're doing much earlier movement, which is one of the keys to getting around. How many times have you played someone really experienced at your tennis club where they're just always in the right place? Like wherever I play, they're already there because they're making these predictions almost subconsciously, and they're just moving into the right parts of the court at the right time. To build that level of skill, you have to start consciously thinking. You have to start predicting, where do I think they're going to play? All right, I'm going to hedge my bets and start to go here. And the more you do that, the more you'll see that actually it's quite easy to do, and you'll start to pick up the cues and the body shapes and the patterns of what they like to do, so you can get your movement done earlier, again buying you time, better shots, more control, onto a winner. So to conclude, better movement equals better tennis. Roger Federer said it, so it must be true. The crux of this is about time. We want to give ourselves time when the ball comes towards us, and then with our quality of our shots, take time away from our opponents to make their movement harder. Which is why the better your movement, the harder it is for your opponent to build pressure, so you're forcing them to hit better shots, more likely to make mistakes, and that's ideally what we want. Think about move, stop, play, or move, get set, play, or move, stabilize and play. When you finish that move, to make sure you're not always moving, that you have a solid base for the actual shot, that we're recovering, we're not admiring our own shots as that ball is travelling away from us, we're starting to get into our next position. When that first ball gets struck by our opponent, we're turning away from it, we have our turn out of the court, so we start getting back behind it to encourage us to then move forwards into the shot. And finally, to start to build some level of prediction, some anticipation, some understanding of guesswork, where our opponent's going to play their next ball, so we can move early before they've even played the shot, therefore making that level of movement easier, giving us some more time, control, and better tennis. So it all works as one to give you more time on the court, which is what we're trying to give ourselves. If you have more time, it's easier to execute much better shots. Thank you very much for watching. If you feel like you have a secret tip that gives you time and control on the court, then let us know in the comments and we'll be sure to discuss why that should be in our next video. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. We have many more coaching tips coming to you, all around decision making and more theoretical ideas, not just simply how to hold the racket for a certain shot. If you've enjoyed this tip, let us know and we'll see you on the next video.